I have no questions about the greatness of Joel Embiid. I think that he's a phenomenal talent. He's a big boy who's got an outside shot. He's got moves around the basket. He's agile. He's athletic. He defends. He blocks shots. He's got a career average of 24 and 11 on nearly 48% shooting. And I think it's like around 32% from three-point range. The brother's got game. Here's why I use the word disappointment, albeit slightly. Because with greatness comes great expectations, especially when you're in the same conference as the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis Antetokounmpo got into the league a year before Joel Embiid. Obviously, Joel Embiid missed his first 2 years due to injuries. He's played the last 4, whereas Giannis has pretty much played the last 6 or 7. The bottom line is this: he's the reigning league MVP, and he's followed that up by averaging 29 and 13. And even then, when we talk about him, what are the 2 things that we say most about him, Jalen Rose? What we say about him is, A, his ferocity. He's in attack mode constantly, okay? And, you know, Shaq talked about the Superman cape, putting it on him and whatever because of his dominance in the low post. And B, he doesn't cheat you because there's always strenuous and extreme effort when it comes to this kid. He wants it. It's not enough for him to be good. It's not enough for him to be great. He's never given you the impression that he's remotely satisfied. And when you take that into account, along with the fact that it was recorded that he put on like 57 pounds of muscle since he came into the league, and you see the star, one of the elite players in the game, a reigning league MVP who plays like he's starving. Remember what we talked about, Max. Remember what we talked about, Jalen, last year when they lost to Toronto. We actually contemplated whether or not that was the best thing that happened to Joel Embiid because he was so hurt and so devastated by that loss to Toronto. It was the first impression that we had vividly seen where he was incredibly affected by it. It wasn't a game to him anymore. That guy has been Giannis Antetokounmpo for years, and that's what I'm talking about, disappointment. I'm not talking about skills here because we know the brother can play. I personally think Jalen, he needs to be in the low post more, but that's Brett Brown's problem, not Joel Embiid. Get his behind back in that low post and let him do damage there a little bit more. But the biggest thing, the only thing actually, when it comes to disappointment is that drive inside of him. Could you imagine if Joel Embiid had the same attitude as the Greek freak? Lord have mercy. That's where I'm going with that, Jalen.
This was the put up or shut up season. So right now, I guess I have to side with Max, but I wanted to see how the rest of this year was going to play out through the playoffs, or I would be siding with Stephen A. if having 2 All-Stars perennially in the East gets Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons bounced out of the playoffs in the first or second round. When I look at the Eastern Conference standings, Max Kellerman, just think about something. I anticipate the Greek Freak and the Bucks being up there. Nick Nurse is my coach of the year for a reason. We can't act like the Raptors would have a better record than the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, led by Pascal Siakam. And then I look a little bit deeper into the Eastern Conference. The Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, they've been legitimate. The Indiana Pacers and Sabonis and Victor Oladipo has been in and out of the lineup with a better record than the Sixers? Now, I can't say I anticipated that. So based on what I've seen from Joel Embiid, I agree with Stephen A. When you talk about just talent, facing the basket and back to the basket, it's only 3 big guys, Anthony Davis, Greek Freak, and Joel Embiid, that separate themselves when they're really healthy and when they're really bringing it. But here are a couple of issues for Joel moving forward. This is why you don't see the shot blocking numbers going up and you don't see the steals going up and people exploiting him in pick and rolls. When you've been as injured as he has been his entire career, and hopefully it does not continue, it's hard for you to stay in tip-top shape. You're not really practicing with the team. You're not really going constantly when the team is scheduled to play. So it's hard for him to be in shape.
He averaged 28, 14, 4 assists, and 2 blocks a game as a great defensive center, and a wide body with the kind of game that should not translate to this era. And yet, if not for that corner 3 by Kawhi that bounced 16 times before it fell, they were very likely to win the championship. So, like, when you take given what happened to the Warriors, hold on. So when you take that into consideration, Embiid is hampered by what more than anything? He doesn't shoot from the outside quite well enough to shoot as much as he does, right? But also the injuries. Jalen, you hit on it. It's not just to me that he can't get into the kind of shape he needs to get into, but this is on the Sixers to me. They're forcing him to self-load manage, which is sometimes why I think you see a different guy at home on the road. You know, like at home he wants to put on a show, and I think on the road sometimes especially he's thinking, wait, I gotta load manage here because they're not gonna do it for me. And so that hampers him in a way. But considering all that, Stephen A. Smith, this dude, who's shaped like this guy at his size, who can play in the low post,
Max,
ever gets his team near a championship nowadays?
I tell you, you try it all the time. You don't get to change the argument for us. No one is debating the talent and the skill set of Joel Embiid. I'm not even going there with you. What I'm talking about, and I'm going to go right to you, Jalen, with this. The Greek Freak is in the same conference. And he's coming. Remember when I said that months ago, Max? I said this man is coming. And he's announcing to the world, I'm coming for all of y'all. You, Max, applauded the fact that Greek Freak didn't even want to work out with nobody because they're the enemy.
No doubt.
And we said, damn, if Joel Embiid had that attitude. And so where the disappointment comes in, Jalen, for me, is only with one thing. That guy is in your conference and hell-bent on standing in your way. So with the talent you have, what are you going to do about it? That's basketball, and that's what I'm talking. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.